I ditched my midterm for a dream concert, but what happened next was a total nightmare. It was my senior year of college, and most of my time had been spent buried in textbooks, desperately trying to keep my grades up. With graduation looming, I figured I deserved a break before entering the grind of the real world, where you get worked to death for barely enough money. My friends and I were brainstorming ideas, and since we were all really into music, we landed on the perfect escape, a music festival. As soon as we saw the announcement, we didn't think twice. We bought 2-day passes, and that was that. It was a no-brainer. A couple of days off in the middle of the term, what could go wrong? Statistically, the odds of having a midterm that Monday were slim, or at least that's what I told myself. Spoiler alert, it didn't work out in my favor. We were hyped when we got the tickets but totally forgot about the festival once classes started. Halfway through the term, reality hit. Senior year midterms were looming, and I had one big obstacle in my way, an intermediate foreign language class that I barely cared about. My mom spoke the language fluently, so you'd think I'd have an edge. Instead, it made things worse. I couldn't care less, but my professor was a hard SS who loved to keep my grade on the border of passing, just so he could tell me how much I sucked. He even took off points on one quiz because he said it looked like I didn't care. I was ready to blow off some steam at the festival, but the midterm was hanging over me like a dark cloud. The day we were supposed to fly out, I tried to be responsible by taking pictures of my notes to study on the plane, thinking that was a solid plan. The festival started, and as soon as we arrived, all thoughts of midterms were wiped from my mind. The first day was amazing. We floated through sets, rode the Ferris wheel, and honestly, it was the best I'd felt in years. Day 2, even better. The only downside was the looming flight I had that night. My flight was scheduled for midnight, right after the guest headliner. In retrospect, I should have planned better, but I wanted to squeeze every last second out of the festival. My plan? See the headliner, Uber to the airport, sleep on the plane, then take my midterm like nothing happened. Easy, right? Here's where emotions completely took over logic. There was a lot of buzz about who the guest headliner was going to be, and by the second day, it was almost confirmed. This was an artist my friends and I had been listening to for years. If it really was him, it would be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. No way was I going to miss it. My Spanish midterm could wait. The day was filled with amazing sets, and everything felt perfect, until the headliner was supposed to go on. The opener was late, which should have been my first red flag. The energy in the crowd started to dip, and everyone just wanted to see who the mystery headliner was. Finally, the moment came, and I started crying. Not because it was beautiful, but because it was my least favorite artist of all time. We had been joking the whole festival about how awful it would be if this guy showed up, and now it was happening. My dream festival turned into a nightmare, and I was completely wrecked. I was already feeling the effects of substances and exhaustion, so flying home in this state was out of the question. I wasn't in the right headspace to do anything, let alone take an exam. But the one silver lining? The crowd hated the headliner as much as I did. We all started booing him off the stage, which, while satisfying, didn't make up for the fact that my night had gone to poop. The festival organizers had enough of us and just shut everything down, telling everyone to go home. I was devastated, not just because of the festival, but because I knew I had completely screwed up my midterm. The weight of it all hit me, and I broke down in tears. Some people thought I was crying because of the headliner, but in reality, my mind was spiraling with fear that I wasn't going to graduate. My entire academic career had built up to this moment, and I was throwing it away for a festival headlined by an artist I hated. When we got back to the hotel, my friends tried to cheer me up, but I was too deep in my own thoughts. Regret set in hard. I tried calling my mom to see if I could switch my flight to the next day, but she wasn't having it. She basically told me, "You created this mess, now you need to figure it out." I tried sending my professor an email to explain, but I was so exhausted, I fell asleep halfway through writing it. The flight home was miserable. I spent the entire time crying, convinced I wasn't going to graduate. When I got back to campus, I finally faced my professor and explained that I missed my flight. He didn't care. He told me it was my responsibility to be back in time for the exam and that I was at serious risk of failing. Looking back, it was the perfect storm of bad decisions, and I paid for it. But at least I got to boo my least favorite artist off stage. That's something, right?